Hello and welcome to another lap time challenge. In this video I'm going to show you a lap guide with this Renault Clio RS220 trophy around the Sardegna A layout. Now this is around a 2-minute 4 lap time. World record will probably go down to about a 2038, so I reckon for gold you'll need around a 2075. That is my prediction. Anyway, paragraph of this car suggests that we rev it quite a bit, if not fully, because the peak power it's not at its max revs, but the later revs is a lot higher than like 5,000 RPM, for example. So you want to rev this thing out, in my opinion. Anyway, I am going to show you my fastest lap and the detailed lap after. Enjoy. Well, I hope you enjoyed that lap. Now, one or two things before I get into this combination. First of all, I'm sorry this is late. I didn't feel like driving this straight away because I was enjoying doing the last week's Daily Race C race, which was at Deep Forest Group 3. I really enjoyed that, which is why I didn't do this straight away, so I apologise. But how I'm doing this is I'm doing this for fun. If I don't feel like I want to do it, I won't do it. But that's going to be very rare. It's just on this occasion it's late because I was doing the races from last week. Now, second thing, I like to mention keywords for time trials. Now, I've got two that I think describes this combination very well on how to be fast here. One, and probably the most important one of the two, is steering. Two is throttle input. Now, I'll get more into those as I get into the corners itself. But where I'm revving this car is I'm fully revving this car. So from 3rd to 4th, I'm going 77 mile an hour, and from 4th to 5th, I'm doing 110 mile an hour. Anyway, start the lap. I'll stay on the left lane here. Try to minimise the line. I don't fully do that, so I could set myself up for this first corner. But I've not seen top replays itself, but I recommend stay to the left as much as possible for entering the first proper corner. But I just like to be hovering around the middle, just so that I'm shaving a bit of the track off, while not costing me too much lining up for the first corner in the braking zone. Anyway, first corner. Now, see this dark red barrier? Well, red painted part of the barrier. I brake just before it. I'm probably braking a good 5 meters before it, if I had to guess. So probably about 120 meters here is where I broke. 150, probably 150 meters now I think about it. Anyway, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be braking in a straight line. Now, you don't want your right wheels to be on this blue part. I felt like when I did that, I was losing grip. I was losing braking performance. So I was going deep when I was doing that. Or I had to brake earlier, so I was losing time already just under braking because I had to brake earlier. Anyway, so you want your right part of the wheels to be on this red and white curb. I'll pause it so you can see that on the chase cam view. And you want to be you don't want your left wheels hooking the curb, but you want it to be on the curb. But you don't want your tyres to be inside the curb so that your car doesn't bounce on it. Doesn't bounce up and down on it. So that you lose speed doing that. Anyway, I'll show you. Braking 100% throttle initially, then I'll be doing about 40% trail braking as I start to turn into the corner as my car has slowed down by then. And I'm looking for about 52 mile an hour apex speed. So here, my right wheels is on a red and white part of curb. I might be very slightly in blue bit, but towards the end of the corner, it's not the end of the world. Like I said on the stop, I clipped the curb a bit too much. And I'll pause here actually, because this is the first point I want to talk about the steering. On one or two corners, so this corner we're on now, and as you see on the cursor, it is this little right part here. You want to put as little steering as possible without while actually making the corner, if you understand me. Because if you turn too much, you will not be able to rev this car out because your tyres will start to spin a bit, so your revs jump up and down, so you'll hit the limiter early. Now, like I said, I want to be shifting this car to 7 mile an hour, so I am putting as little steering as possible to make sure that I can still hit the 77 mile an hour speed before I change gear. As you can see, with the red dot, that's how much I was turning. If you do any more than that, you'll start to scrub the tyres and you'll have to shift up earlier, which is not optimal. Anyway, clip the inside curb here, shave off as many thousands as possible. Next corner, you see this 50 board, literally brake on it. I broke, I think, a tiny bit after it. I think you can get away with doing that if you start to like turn in and trail brake properly, but it's pretty difficult in this car. And in fact, on this fastest lap I did that I'm showing you now, I actually missed the inside curb a bit here. So you'll see I'm starting to lift off and my brake light is showing I have started to brake. Now for this corner I was about 72 mile an hour apex speed from memory. I'm actually not 100% sure. Actually no, it can't be 70. I was about 65 by the time I was into the corner itself. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. But basically what you want to be doing is if you can, you want your left wheels to actually I'll show you. So I'm braking. I should have trail braked a bit earlier, about 70% trail braking, and braking a straight line to get your car heading towards this corner. I put a little bit too much braking input in, which is why my car didn't initially turn much at all. Like I said, you want your left wheels to hook just inside this curb, not too much though. Or another way, you can have half your car go over this corner to minimize the truck distance. But I don't know if it's actually faster doing that than just hooking your left wheels inside the track corner itself. I'm not too sure to be honest. Anyway, like I said, I miss it. Now, next part, I was aiming for about the middle part of this track by the exit, but you want to still be turning left to get as much track width as possible, to carry as much speed as possible, as much angle as possible for this next corner. A pretty difficult corner if you ask me on this combo. Now, my brake input, I'll show on chase cam actually, but I was basically braking halfway between this end part of the gravel and this painted red barrier. I was braking about halfway between the two, maybe very slightly early. You'll see me about to tap the braking now. Yeah, I am braking now because I'm past the gravel and this red part of the barrier is about to end. Now, I was looking for about, again, 52, I think. Yeah, again, about 52, 53 mile an hour apex speed here. Now, you want your right wheels to hook the inside of the curb if possible. But very difficult this corner because it depends how you do the first part, with how much speed you carried, or where you are on the track, or where you brake even. So you can either, in my opinion, have half your car go over this grass and half your car on the track, like the previous corner, or, and in my opinion, the faster way of doing it is have your right wheels just hook onto the curb and have a wide angle so you had an easier time on the exit. Now on this lap I turned early, so I just committed to going over the grass line. I did about 40% braking input as you saw initially, just to slow the car down enough and still be able to turn into the corner. Again, I was looking for about 52 miles an hour. Now, again, keyword steering and throttle input. I paused it a bit late, but if you saw me play, if you want to rewind and go back to when I initially restarted the replay, I was about 90% throttle to not spin up the front tyres. And you'll see me fully turn now, but as the revs will start to jump up with how much pressure is going onto the front tyres, you'll see me start to steer less, so I could carry as much momentum as possible. Use all the track as well. Like my left wheels was right on the outside of this curb here. I might have even touched the grass. We'll see here. No, I didn't touch the grass. I was right on to the outside of the curb there. Use as much track width as possible in this car because it's an FF. You don't want to steer too much if you can help it. Anyway, next corner. One of the most difficultest corner on this combination. In fact, you see my ABS light show up now. I'm braking just before this little barrier gets to the end of my screen here. I'm braking a couple of times before it. Now, there's two ways to do it. In my opinion, the faster way is you brake in a straight line towards the corner, and you want to trail brake as you get into it. I was looking for about 65 mile an hour, 64 mile an hour apex speed. Now, that is what I intended to do, but I was a touch deep, which you'll see. So I was initially 100% brakes. I should have probably started trail braking a bit earlier to get my car turning in, but I mistimed it a little bit. Now you want your left wheels to hook onto this different curb, this curb here. I think it's a curb anyway. You want your left tyres there anyway, because I felt that if I was any wider, my car just felt very understeery. I don't know if that's the same for you real users or you other control users. That's just how it felt to me. Anyway, like I said, I just missed timed my turn input, so that will cost me on the exit. Well, on the entry more actually, because I'm making the track longer for myself by not being on the inside curb. Anyway, I'm trail braking about 30% at this point just to slow the car down more, get it towards the inside while not scrubbing off too much speed. And as you can see, these marshals and Barry here, you'll see me about to pick up the throttle now. Again, I'm about 80% throttle initially on the exit, 90-ish% even. And initially I am turning quite a bit, but you'll see me start to turn less as I get towards the exit of the corner. Otherwise, I will have to shift up early, which is not ideal. You see, I am on the throttle now. Probably about when they're about halfway across your screen, that is a good time to go on the throttle. You'll see I am not even turning fully to the left at this point, but I am still turning pretty heavily to the left. You'll see as I get towards the exit, I will start to steer less, and I can go back on 100% throttle. You see, I'm probably 70% throttle now at this stage. Still 90%, then as I get to the exit and as I started to steer less, I went up to 100%. Again, shifting at 110 mile an hour. I actually rated quite a bit at 110 mile an hour range, so probably a good half second in 110 mile an hour is when I shifted up. I found that to be the peak time to shift this car. Next corner, and in my opinion, the most difficult corner. Actually, no, the second most difficult corner. Because there's not really a good braking reference for this corner, I found. Now, I think for you guys, a good braking reference would be this tree here. I did not use that though. because I didn't see it at the time, and I just felt more comfortable with the braking reference that I used, that I'm about to show you now. What I used, you see this tarmac get darker here, it starts to get slightly darker, and you might not be able to see it well on my video end, but you will notice it when you do the lap yourselves. I brake as it shows up to the front of my car. As my front of the car is touching it, is when I started to brake. You'll see that now. I am braking as I touch the darker part of the track. Now, I'm going to have my right wheels on this curb to maximise the angle to try and carry as much speed as possible. Now, I will mention very quickly, I think it is better to not downshift to second gear and overload the front. I felt like when I downshifted to second on Saturday, when I did this lap, it overloaded my front tyres a bit, that it didn't slow down enough because there was too much pressure on the front tyres as I downshifted to second, because I got more torque from engine braking, etc. I think that's how it works. I'm actually not sure, but that's just how it felt. In my opinion, you want to stay in third gear, but since it's my first stop, I'll show you how I did it while downshifted to second. But just do the same, just stay in third gear instead. Anyway, 100% brake input, downshift to third. As you see me start to turn, my brake throttle will go down like that. Now, I was looking for about 44 mile an hour apex speed. Again, stay in third gear. I think it's faster. And I'll get to about here. I'm halfway through the corner now. I'm about 60% throttle input, just to not have too much wheel spin on the exit while carrying speed and momentum. Again, similar to some other corners, as I got to the exit, I put a bit more throttle down, but then I started steering less to, again, not put too much pressure on, to basically not have my front tyres spinning, so I could carry more momentum and shave off as much time as possible. Again, try have your left tyres on this curb. I actually did it very well on this lap, even with a downshift to second. And I'm very close to the barrier, as you can see here. I am barely not touching it. You can't get much closer than that. Anyway, you'll see my throttle go up now, and you'll start to see me steer less. Again, I'll pause here, 0 to turn 2, up here. Try to steer as less as possible so you could rev it out as much as possible. Again, 77 mile an hour is the key number here. I believe it's about 122 kilometers an hour. You'll see here. 123 kilometers, there you go. You might have to shift up by 26 mile an hour just to be safe. This part, you see this sign here? I literally just went past it, but when that sign hit the end of my screen on this view is when I started turning right. Now, you want to upshift to fifth so that you don't rev out fourth here, because you have to turn quite a bit. Now, there's two ways of doing this actually. You could either cut a bit to minimise the distance, but I didn't like doing that. I felt a bit inconsistent doing the next corner when I did that, so I just stayed on the track. Have your right wheels touch the curb, and I'll pause here because it is quite hard to time it, but I basically broke at the end of this curb. Now, I say brake, I barely braked. I did about 40% braking input if that, and you want to turn straight away as soon as you brake. See, I'm braking, I'm just past the curb, I've started to brake. You'll see my brake input go about 40%, and it's only for a minimum amount of time. I was looking for about 90 mile an hour apex speed. And yeah, like I said, you'll see my brake input, and you'll see me turn straight away to the left. It was actually 50%, but you want to be looking around 40%. It's quite difficult. I will mention quickly. Sorry, let me just go back. I forgot to mention something. I'll pause on the exit right here. Now, if your right side of the tyres goes too much over this grass and you're on full throttle, it will cost you a lot of time in the next corner. So try to stay on the track here. It is very important. Like on this lap, I just touched it, but because I just touched it, it was fine. If you go a bit wider than that, you will get dirty tyres for the next corner, and you will lose a lot of time under braking and on the throttle. because of how this car is an FF. You'll just lose so much extra speed. Anyway, that's corner. In my opinion, not the most difficult corner, but for me, this was the hardest corner because I just don't know where to brake. Well, I have an idea where to brake. Anyway, I'll get into it. It depended how you did the exit of the fast chicane. It also depended if you went too wide on the chicane. Now, I'll mention how I did on this particular lap where I broke, and I'll also mention whereabouts I broke when I dirty tyres. Oh, sorry, that was an accident. Now, with dirty tyres, I'd probably brake about here. Just to give yourself a little margin, because if you go deep, it will cost you a lot of time, just because of the nature of this corner. But since I had clean tyres, I broke just before the 100 board shows up. I broke probably probably not even 105 meters. But okay, so with clean tires, I broke about 105 meters. With dirty tires, I broke about 110 meters. Now I'm going to be breaking 100% initially, and then as I start tuning in, once again, it'll slowly go down to about 30%. Now, on this corner, I think it is better to downshift second, just because of how slow you are going. I was looking for about 39 mile an hour apex speed. I'm not 100% sure if you can go faster than that. I think you can. I just wasn't comfortable in this corner, so I'm sorry. This won't be the best last corner I'll ever show you. Again, I'm using the outside curb for maximal angle. You want your left wheels on this inside curb without touching the barrier, of course, and you want to be in third gear, like every other corner, basically. In fact, I think it is every corner, but for fast chicane, you want to be in third gear. And then you want to, again, try not to steer too much on the exit. But if you initially do, that's fine, because you're going so slow anyway. Just try not to steer too much for too long. And you can go on 100% throttle very early. I was initially 90% throttle just to not get a wheel spin. But I think you can get away with 100% throttle if you steered just right. I'll quickly mention, you can clip the inside of the curb if you want here, and I would recommend shifting 109 mile an hour around the fast right, just to not scrub too much speed in fourth and to potentially hit the limiter. That's basically it. This lap I was a 2:04.262. Decent lap, couple attempts in it, can't really complain. It wasn't initially in the top 10, so I'll have a replay of it and I'll show you how to get to this event or lap time challenge, sorry, and how to see a replay of this and a ghost that you can follow. Cheers, guys. To see a replay of my lap, you can either go to Showcase, go to Content Search, Replays, type in my name. Quite easy to spell. It is this replay here. 2:04.262. Decent lap. Another way, and I would argue a much easier way. Go to sport mode. In the top right of the home screen, online time trials. Oh, sorry, that is not the online time trials. That's an online time trials. It will be the middle one as of recording. In a few days' time, it will be on the right hand side because it'll be the last event to finish. Or the first event to finish, I should say, sorry. And then select carbon, whatever you have. You'll see my time. Right now I'm 13th. I'll probably finish around top 30. So I'll be near the top. And you'll see the replay here. Now, to get a ghost, to follow my ghost, sorry, of my time. Get into the event in the first place. And then go to the ranking board. Go to me. Click my name, /up, load ghost. And then you can do ghost settings. Right here. Either reset it after each sector or not, have it start a certain amount of time ahead and just follow it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, I hope it helps. Remember to try to steer as fast as possible, try about 90% throttle on most slow corners, just to not wheel spin too much. And I would also recommend initially just do multiple laps to get into the groove of it. And yeah, I hope this has helped, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one, and enjoy. Cheers.